Okay, so this is a video about how to use some of the built-in accessibility settings or the system settings and the personalization settings to make it easier as we're working for extended periods of time on our computers. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So one of the first things that we have to do is get into the Windows settings. So to find that, you're going to go to the bottom left-hand side where the Windows tile is and click on it. And then there's this little settings icon, and it brings you to this window here. So my display is going to look a little bit different than yours, probably because I've already changed it to my own personal preferences. So the things that we're going to be going over, it's going to be some of the things in the system settings, the personalization, and ease of access. So the first thing that I will show you is how to change the turn the nightlight off and on. And this setting is nice to have because if you're working for extended periods of time, especially in the evening, it helps to filter out some of that blue light that you've probably heard about lately being, not so great for our brain stimulation and for eye fatigue. So right now I have it set on a timer where it the nightlight will come on about 7:20 and then it readjusts during the day. I'm gonna see if you'll be able to see the difference as I turn it on right now. Because this is a screen recording, I don't know if what I'm seeing is going to be as accurate as what the viewer can see right now. But as you can tell, maybe as I slide the bar over to the left where it says 0, my screen is going to try to readjust back to the blue light. And then when I turn it on and I drag it, it just increases the orange color of it. So I'm going to actually just leave it about here and then turn it off for now. So you can have it scheduled to come on at a certain time, or you can just manually do it. Below that is the scale and layout. So for myself, I've adjusted it depending on what I'm working on and as I need it, I can readjust it. So I'm going to just put it at its maximum, which is 225%, and then you'll be able to see like it made a huge difference. There's pros and cons to having it like this, because if I were to go into work on a Word document, the ribbon at the top where all of those tabs are, it's going to be very large and it might be more difficult for me to find what I'm looking for. So let me go ahead and minimize this to give you an idea of what the icons now look like. So they're large and it's easier for me to see, but again, it's going to depend on what your preference is and how much of any kind of button, for example, like on a Microsoft Word document, you mind missing out on. Let's see. So there's other things in here, but I'm not going to get into them. But if you have multiple displays, this is where you would go to detect a multiple display. Since I don't have another monitor hooked up, I'm not going to bother with that. But if you or your child happen to have a second display, you can have it to where it mirrors what's on your laptop to your external monitor, or you can extend your laptop or the display so you can have everything seamlessly go from one side of the screen to the next screen. Or you can have two separate screens, which is really nice if you're multitasking. Okay, so now I'm going to just click the back button and go over to personalization. So here's where you can change the background color. I have a very dark color just because I like the contrast. This isn't a specific contrast setting, but I'll show you where to find that in a minute. So you can choose a solid color, a picture, or slideshow. You can customize the color down here with the color wheel. Let's see, fonts. There's lots of fonts here, but I don't necessarily prefer to have some of these just because it seems very busy. So let me go back. All right. And ease of access, this is where there's some really nice things that it's not just specifically for somebody who might have low vision, but it's really all about universal design, and everybody can benefit from some of these settings. The size of the text goes from very small, which is the default, all the way to large. Again, if you're using an application that has multiple things in any sort of like a pane or a window or the ribbon or toolbar, the size of your text is going to really impact what you're able to see. But again, it's personal preference. You can make your screen lighter or darker here. You can also use the function button on your keyboard and adjust that too. As you can see, my cursor is different. It's not white and it's a little bit larger. So in order to change that, you would actually go to cursor and pointer. And here's where you can make it as big as you want or as small as you want. And again, if you're scrolling over something and you really need to see what's underneath it, if your cursor is quite large, it's going to limit what you're actually able to see. I have a different pointer color, but you can have one that's a black outline or black with a white outline, or one that's kind of inverse or inverted. You can make the cursor really big or small so you're able to see it more, but if you look in this tiny little window, you can hardly see what's there because I made the cursor as big as I can possibly make it. So I do have it a little bit larger, but not so much that it's going to cover up my letters. And down here where it says change touch feedback, I like this if you have a touch screen because if I touch my screen, I don't know if you're able to see it right now, but there's a little circle that pops up where my finger actually touches it. So I can get that visual feedback whenever I'm making selections by touching my screen. Okay, so that's under the cursor. Magnifier is another one. And this, I wouldn't recommend turning on unless you absolutely need it, because this is going to really affect how you're able to pan across your screen. And if you have a smaller screen with the zoom on, the magnifier on, it really, it's a little bit cumbersome, and it's not for all users, but some people might like it. Let's see. There's some more very specific options down here. A color filter is good if you have any color deficits. And again, it's going to depend more so on the individual and what type of colors are able to see or discriminate between. Okay, so high contrast is going to really make the colors pop, and there's like a default setting for this. I'm not going to turn it on because if I do that, there's a bit of a delay, and sometimes it just causes my computer to restart. But for a workaround for this, though, is having the black background like I have with like a different colored toolbar. So that's always an option. If you go under audio, there's a setting in here that I like, because if I'm doing something, if I happen to have another monitor hooked up and I'm multitasking and have my volume turned down and I can't hear when I get an alert from, for example, like for my calendars, Outlook calendar, I can have this turned on where it will flash the entire screen. So it's not something that I'm having to listen for, but I can actually see it. So there's some more other options in here, but again, it's the other ones kind of get more detailed depending on your needs. But in a nutshell, those are some of the things that you can change within the Windows settings. And I hope you found this to be helpful. I will stop sharing.